everybody. Another episode of Full Throttle Leaders. We have Jared Wexler from Common Room. He's the manager of sales strategy. Jared, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Tell me a little bit about Common Room and what you do there.
So I like to think of Common Room almost as the new age of GTM. You think of classic outbound. People are opening different tabs. They're going to Salesforce. You're trying to teach an SDR how to read a tableau dashboard. Common Room can help capture all that signal, enrich it, and become a shared starting point for SDRs, for sales leaders, ops, you name it. It's really just a more intelligent way to think about going to market where you're not just shooting fish in the ocean like we all used to in the old days.
Yeah, it's a what do you call it? A direct route to going after really account-based marketing, ABM, right?
Exactly. Account-based marketing, account-based selling. How do you actually codify and standardize what your tops reps do by instinct? So when
Hmm.
you have a new rep starting next week, you're trying to decrease the delta from the top rep of the rest. Common Room becomes that place where you can just be a little bit more targeted and intentional with who they reach out to.
So is this something that is like a widget inside of a Salesforce, or pulls from Salesforce or HubSpot? Tell us how it works with a CRM.
So we pull from both. So we do have a bilateral sync with both Salesforce and HubSpot. We have a Chrome extension, so you can access it from within both platforms. And on top of that, we do have our own UI. We also just came out with an MCP server as well. So a lot of how we're thinking about Common Room is meeting reps where they are, but also becoming that solidified, I'll call it a second source of truth, because the CRM is always the source of truth, but the second source of truth where they can work their days without having to tab switch as much as they're
Hmm.
all used to in current state.
And tell us a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I got my start in SaaS roughly, geez, almost 8 years ago now at Chili Piper. I joined right after college. I was SDR number one, employee 10 or so. I was there for just around 3 years with a little boomerang in between. Got to experience the journey from bootstrap to Series B. After that, I did a 2 year detour, I'll call it, in the e-commerce space where I was a manager of solutions consulting at a company called Tapcart. We were in the Shopify ecosystem, built on top of Shopify, invested in my Shopify. So that was a fun journey of learning how to co-sell with a true enterprise. And then I've been at Common Room for the last year and a half, ranging from a founding solutions role to my current role where I'm managing the solutions team and then helping out a bit with our sales strategy and how we execute in deals. So a lot of my career, the last, I call it 6, 7 years or so, has been in solutions world, but I've been almost a Swiss Army knife of toying around with anything from product to enablement and pretty much just making myself as valuable within every company as I can.
And tell me about your team. At how big is your team? How many people are in sales or SDRs? What's the goal for the company in the next 3 to 5 years?
Absolutely. So right now we have a SDR team, I'd say in the low tens. So like 10 to 15, we're growing that team. Account executives, we have around 20. My solutions team, we have five in seat, and we're growing that team a little bit as well. So we're in a pretty exciting state as we continue to grow.
That's fantastic.
As I think about Common Room in the next 3 to 5 years, we are investing more and more in what we call AI that just works. If you think about AI in the market, it's a buzzword, everyone's trying to incorporate it. We are taking the ethos of how do we create and deploy AI that creates a leverage? How do you get 3x output of one rep versus dependency? There's a lot of powerful tools in the market, but with dependency, you're having to hire a team of people that are prompt engineers. You're having to hire agencies to manage that full time. So our ethos and what we want to do is have AI that just works. So right now, we're really leaning heavily into becoming, I'll call it that GTM command center that reps and teams are living out of. We'll start to shift our focus more and more into ripping and replacing some more parts of the tech stack, if you will. But it's something where we have been working with quite a few go-to-market teams across sales-led, product-led, and commercial open source motions and really helping them start to modernize the way that they're going to market.
And so you're basically like a little bit under 200 right now employees.
We're around 100, just above 100 employees or so. Company's been around 4 years, but the pivot to go to market has been just around 2 years. So we're there's been quite a bit of traction since transitioning from the original use case of community over to go to market.
And then tell us a little bit about who you guys compete with that you see.
It's really interesting. I almost see Common Room like a Venn diagram. So if we're in the middle here, you have your enrichment providers, a lot of the legacy players, ZoomInfo being obviously the incumbent at a lot of
Yeah.
companies. We're seeing a lot of companies starting to replace or significantly decrease their spend in ZoomInfo. In the other bucket, you have the ABM platforms. A lot of times we're starting to displace them, particularly the sales use case of the ABM platforms. And then you have your point signal solutions, things like job changers, companies that just do website visits, AI SDRs. And then I'd say we're an indirect competitor of Clay. There's companies that are migrating from Clay to Common Room. There's some companies that use both of us in tandem. I think the way to think about Common Room is a way to consolidate a lot of legacy incumbents that we all see within our tech stacks,
Mm.
as well as one of the category creators of the new way companies are going to market.
And how do you charge it for your company? What's your ideal customer? And is it a monthly seat per person? Is it a monthly retainer SaaS approach? I mean, how do you charge?
Great question. So, annual recurring revenue is the name of the game. So we do annuals. That said, I'd say our sweet spot are companies. I'd say that are not necessarily just starting to go outbound, but I'd say once companies are starting to invest more heavily in either a hybrid sales motion or a sales-led motion, that's our sweet spot. We do serve a wide variety of verticals. B2B SaaS, of course, tends to be the sweet spot of a lot of GTM tooling. And I'd say any company that has more than a handful of sellers is where we can really start to provide some value. And then something unique about Common Room's model is that we like to talk about it like we treat a contact as a person. So what I mean by that is if you have Jared at Chili Piper, if you have Jared at Common Room, a lot of tools that's two different contacts, they're charging you twice, and there's no way to know I'm the same person. Common Room has that under one contact. We're capturing signal and enriching it in perpetuity, all at one contact.
Yeah.
So every quarter, you're not spending another credit. Every year, you're not having to refresh it. So
Mm.
it's just a different philosophical approach where we do have enrichment in our tool. It's quite powerful, but we see enrichment as a way to drive value, not a way for us to extrapolate more and more dollars from our customer base.
And what's something that either really worked well in the last 6 to 12 months? They're like, I want to pass this knowledge along, or something where you're like, I tried this strategy or tech and it bombed, and I just want to tell people, probably maybe skip that.
Absolutely. So I think in the new age of AI, the way that I talk about tools, especially GTM tooling, it's been very cyclical over time. You think about one tool that does it all, then there's a disruptor, then there's one tool that does it all again, then there's a disruptor. And AI has kind of thrown that out the window. We're now in a world where companies and teams and software is innovating at an incredible pace. And the thing with AI, it's very malleable. A lot of tools we used to sell were very point solution by nature. I think about my days at Chili Pepper. It's scheduling and routing or scheduling behind a form. And it was a lot more straightforward of a conversation. Where if you think about deployment of AI or
Hmm.
deployment of tools that do have more of a complex nature behind them, you need to be more consultative. So something that we learned and a way that we differentiate in the way we go to market is actually coming in with a POV and being able to consult our customers and our prospects how we think they should use Common Room. And we've seen that deem quite successful results. And I think that's what differentiates you from being a tool where, oh, this sounds cool. I have no idea how I'm going to use it, to I need this yesterday and I'm going to make the case today. And I think that's where we see I'll call it like a new age of the consultative seller and a different trend with solutions. Because old solutions, a lot of times they're just giving canned demos. In the new world, you need to be able to ask great questions. You need to be able to
Yeah.
bob and weave, dip and dive, if you will. And I think that's where what I've learned is you can't put it on customers to connect the dots. When you're a category creator, and this category being AI and GTM, they're looking at us as the vendor to make recommendations, to be the thought leader, to be the expert. And I think the two things that I'm trying to train my team, and I've always believed myself, one is if you go to a networking event and you don't have a name tag, you should be able to talk shop to the extent they think you're one of them. And B, if you were to be asked to advise and you couldn't sell your own tool, you should still be able to provide value by being able to talk shop and advise around your tool in that nature. So I think by ingraining that consultative idea of selling into our sellers and our solutions team, we've really been transforming the way that we're going to market.
How do people get a hold of you? Like, who's the best person to get a hold of you? like what persona, and how to your email, your LinkedIn, or your phone number.
Absolutely. So I'd say from a company perspective, we tend to sell primarily like sales, marketing, rev ops, like you name it, like across the whole go-to-market motion. Um, our website tends to be a quite great way to request a demo and all that fun stuff. But myself personally, huge LinkedIn user. I try to answer my LinkedIn inbox as much as humanly possible. My email is jared@commonroom.io as well, and always happy to talk shop not only about Common Room but this new world and new age we are in GTM.
Well, thanks for coming today. Appreciate you, and look forward to hopefully coming to one of the roundtables. Once again, my name's Michael Falato. I'm the basic CEO of Full Throttle Falato Leads, and the reason why we do this is basically to get deeper, with a leader. The roundtables are more about passing ideas back and forth, and basically, if you guys want roundtables, masterminds, LinkedIn automation, email automation, please feel free to reach out to me at Michael at fullthrottlepalatoleads.com. Have a great day, everybody.